A lovely good afternoon. Time now for the news at 12. Heavy rains submerged over 120 crop fields in MUCHABI area of SHAKUMBILA, Chiefdom. An energy expert urges government to take a bold step and increase electricity tariffs. In international headlines, Cameroon journalists urge investigation after death of colleague. Zambia pool national team ready to defend the title. We have the details after this break.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chol. We're from Cho's Fitness Gym. We're a fully functional gym located along Twin Palm Road in Kablonga, right by Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia. So we have various classes that happen from Monday to Friday. We have aerobics, we have boot camp, we have step aerobics, we have spinning, we have kettlebell classes. They happen from 18 to 19 hours every day, and we are open from 06 until 20 hours. That's Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays 6 to 12, and then Sundays we are closed, and most public holidays we are open 6 to 12.
Over 120 crop fields in MUCHABI area in SHAKUMBILA Chiefdom of Mumbwa district in Central Province have completely been submerged in water following a heavy rains that are being experienced in most parts of the country. The district disaster management and mitigation units led by the Mumbwa district commissioner Namkolo Hayumbu have toured the area to appreciate the damage and has expressed sadness over the matter. Mrs. Hayumbu says the area is likely to experience hunger as most of their crops have been affected by floods. She has, however, called on the national DMMU to come to the aid of the people of MUCHABI area in SHAKUMBILA Chiefdom. We have more in this report.
This is not a river or a stream as it may seem to be, but one of the crop fields that has completely been submerged in water following a heavy downpour experienced in MUCHABI area of Senior Chief SHAKUMBILA's Chiefdom in Mumbwa district. The district had to assess the extent of damage.
We are on the boat area in Kamawati, and under this water, cement is located. A lot of crops are damaged. This huge amount of water. We have cotton.
Customary land, as the pipeline from Angola will pass through different chiefdoms both in Angola and Zambia.
The energy sector has been at the center of attention with the ongoing road shedding and the high price of fuel prompting stakeholders to push for solutions in both the electricity and petroleum sub-sectors. Energy experts on how Zambia can get out of the energy crisis, prominent among them is the need to migrate to cost-effective tariffs, further stating that Zambians must bear with the government if it takes such a decision.
The tariffs quite significantly within the next 1 year to actualize investment, failure to which it is predicted that load shedding will worsen and may reverse the gains which have been made in the economy. In addition, accelerating economic development will not be achieved, and Zambia will make poor progress in the 8 SDGs which depend directly on energy and include decent jobs and poverty.
And Dr. Chikwanda has described President Hakainde Hichilema's recent trips to Angola and Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates respectively, as progressive because Zambians will have access to cheap fuel through a pipeline from Angola, as well as the 2,000 megawatt solar electricity project that will help stabilize Zambia's energy sector. And Dr. Chikwanda has also appealed to the government to revisit the lengthy and cumbersome approval journey for the energy sector projects.
I wish to appeal to our traditional leaders, their Royal Highnesses, to support these robust energy projects by making it easy to acquire customary land. As a pipeline from Angola will pass through different chiefdoms, both in Angola and Zambia, the 2,000 megawatt solar project will not be built in one location, but will be unbundled and built in different chiefdoms. I plead with them to make it easy to issue chiefdoms. I also want to appeal to government to revisit the lengthy and cumbersome approval journey for energy sector projects. The journey starts with local government, land acquisitions, approvals for drawings. Then you head to the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment through the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, and ends with Ministry of Energy through the Energy Regulation Board. If you are fortunate, it will take you 1 year to conclude these approval processes before you could start your procurement of materials, most of which have to be imported, and then you go into construction.
He also highlighted that in the wake of load shedding, the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, must take more interest in the price of solar panels and batteries. He notes with concern that despite government waiving taxes year in, year out, the price of solar panels and batteries has remained high in the country. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Visiting International Monetary Fund IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva has alleged that the IMF program in Zambia is aimed at helping the country achieve good governance, have more dynamic growth base, and improve social spending. Speaking when she appeared at the University of Zambia Public Discussion Forum Tuesday morning, Ms. Georgieva says the country cannot succeed if the cancer of corruption is taking away what belongs to the Zambian people. She says Zambia is so far has good leadership, which is a determinant to strong governance, fighting corruption, and addressing the fundamentals for a strong economy. Ms. Georgieva says Zambia is doing everything great and says it is time for the creditors to do their part and conclude the debt restructuring process to give more space for Zambia to grow.
First, let me say that we are very impressed by what the government of Zambia has done since we engaged on our program. You have the leadership you deserve. This is a leadership that is absolutely determined to have strong governance, fight corruption, and address the fundamentals for a strong economy. And what our program aims to achieve is progress in three very important areas. First, in the area of governance. There is simply no way for an economy to succeed if the cancer of corruption is taking away what belongs to all people. Second, we are very committed to support Zambia to have more dynamic growth base, meaning diversification of the economy. Third, social spending. I want to give a very high mark to the government for decisively going for moving public money from where it is not used very well to where it would make a difference. More specifically, eliminating subsidies towards spending in education, health, and social protection.
A 39-year-old businesswoman has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that her 27-year-old former neighbor allegedly sodomized her autistic son in March last year. Testifying before Magistrate Sheila Mwene, their named mother said she learned of the brutal act after the 11-year-old victim himself informed her. This is in a case in which Peter Jerry is alleged to have enticed the victim to his house under the pretext of buying him some snacks. Jerry is charged with one count of unnatural offense contrary to Section 155 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Details are in this report.
In a half-packed court Tuesday, a 39-year-old businesswoman took the witness dock before the Lusaka magistrate and gave chilling testimony of how her 11-year-old autistic son was allegedly sodomized by a 27-year-old man, Peter Jerry. Testifying before Magistrate Sheila Mwene, this morning the unnamed mother, whose identity cannot be disclosed for purposes of the victim's safety, told the magistrate of how she was shocked, upset and confused that the accused, who had been a neighbor for the past 5 years, would resort into doing such a ruthless act. The witness narrated that on the material day, she was aware and her firstborn son made numerous calls to her, asking on what time she was going to be back home. She said after receiving so much calls from her firstborn son, she got concerned and rushed home thinking that something bad might have happened to the victim. According to court records, the abuse is alleged to have occurred between the 3rd and the 4th of March 2022. Peter Jerry, the accused, is alleged to have enticed the 11-year-old victim to his house under the pretext of buying him snacks. The state have slapped him with one count of a natural offense contrary to Section 155C of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. In a further testimony, the sorrowful woman narrated that upon reaching home, her little bundle of joy informed her that he had allegedly been sodomized by the accused, Jerry. The distressed mother also told the court that her 11-year-old son informed her that the first incident occurred at the accused mother's house, while the second incident is said to have occurred in an unfinished church building. Meanwhile, the media was requested to leave the courtroom the moment the victim was called to testify, as the new Children Court Bill does not allow. The matter comes up on the 21st of February 2023 for continuation of trial. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
In our international headlines, journalists in Cameroon gathered on Monday, January 23rd in Yaoundé to pay respect and demand justice for the killing of their colleague Martinez Zogo, who was abducted last week and whose body was found this weekend near the capital. Gathered among candles, flowers and banners demanding justice, friends and colleagues stood outside the radio station Amplitude FM where Martinez Zogo worked from. Journalist Jean Bruno said during the event that he believed the killing was a message that was sent to all independent journalists and to all those who think Cameroon can function differently. Here's a roundup of international news.
Journalists in Cameroon gathered on Monday in Yaoundé to pay their respects and demand justice for their colleague Martinez Zogo, whose body was found dumped near the capital. Outside the radio station where Zogo worked as a talk show host, they lit candles and brought flowers. They also carried banners denouncing threats to journalists.
Well,
I think the death of Martinez Zogo is something terrible and even terrifying for journalists because there is a mixture of cruelty and arrogance in the killing of Zogo. When you see all the mutilations that his body suffered and the fact that his body was thrown in a field like that, I have the impression that this is a message that was sent to all independent journalists and to all those who think that this country can function differently. We absolutely must not sit to fear so that we don't play into the hands of Martinez's executioners and so that he didn't die for nothing. Zogo's disappearance came shortly after presenting a program critical of government corruption. The network of human rights defenders in Central Africa called for full investigation into Zogo's death. We ask them to accompany civil society organizations so that the state of Cameroon can report, in accordance with the treaties and conventions freely ratified, that all chains of sponsors and performers be publicly punished. They are all known. Zogo served a 2-month prison sentence for criminal defamation in 2020, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists.
The Burkina Faso government on Monday clarified that it has asked ex-colonial ruler France to pull its troops out of the country within a month. The West African nation currently hosts a contingent of nearly 400 French special forces. What we denounce today is the agreement that allows, of course, the French forces to be present in Burkina Faso. This is not about the end of diplomatic relations between Burkina Faso and France, of our territory.